Hey, bro, where's your safety glasses at?
Right here. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are going to be wrapping up and hopefully installing our new 6.7 engine for the 07. Again, this is a cast piston engine, so we can go back to a true daily driver, do all, tow, all that jazz. So we're going to do a color reveal. We haven't put it all together yet. I kind of left you guys hanging, but here she is. Boom. Bright teal. Now there is going to be more to this, but this is where it's at. We kind of left off, short blocks done, heads done. Now we're going to go ahead and put the cylinder head on with the firing head gasket. Again, we're using the Hazley gasket. Set the head on and start putting the ARP 625s in. Okay, step one, install your cylinder head dowels. You don't have to kill it. This one's actually a used one. Then in here, we got our firing gasket. The only thing I can say about these is just don't screw it up. It's pretty hard to screw these up, but I have seen people put these gaskets on backwards. Big thing to check if you're nervous, make sure you have the oil hole for the rocker arms, or you're gonna have one hell of a time. The nice part about all in the, or half and half, is you can set the rings in here and the block keeps them centered. And now we're just gonna go ahead and set the head down. When I'm doing these out of the truck, I just use the dowels. If I'm trying to do it in the truck, I have these little studs that kind of stick up to help guide you on. But since Shad is here, we'll just set it on the good old fashioned way. I'm in on this side. You're in on your side. So you got to witness the Struggle Bus 9000 there. And now we can start dropping our head studs in. Well, I am way too out of breath for what I just did, but 3 torques, got them all done, and yeah, now we're gonna go ahead and start working on valve train, push rods, ejectors, oil cooler, water pump, oil pan, pickup tube, all the fun stuff to make this thing complete. All right, so we are back from a little vacay with the family. We got all this wire wheeled and now painted gloss black. We're gonna go ahead, get this oil pan pulled off, get the pickup tube, the spacers made, and get the oil pan glued on for reels. And then we're gonna throw all the rocker arms on real quick and get them all bolted down, put some oil in it, put the oil cooler, oil filter housing on, and basically make sure this thing has oil pressure So let's get it done. Once you go ahead and do this with 14s, the factory girdle does not fit the block stiffener. Well, what the factory block stiffener does is it actually spaces the pickup tube bolts. I believe it's here and here. So what you have to do is make up for that spacing so that way you don't suck up the pickup tube crooked, break the braze right here, and starve your pickup tube. So what I do is I take a factory block stiffener. It's right around like 310, depending on where you grab it. Sometimes it's like 308. So what I do is I machine down some nuts that are like M12 or bigger, because these are M10 bolts, and I machine them down to about 305, and that's how you make up for the space. That way the pickup tube goes on the block nice and level. Now that that's done, let's get our oil pickup tube cleaned up and get it installed on the engine. And as you guys can see here, there's that space there, and that's what these little shims are for. They sit right here. And again, we went M12, and you want them to just kind of barely fit in there snug, because you don't want to apply any pressure to this joint here. Some guys will only use new ones. As long as you get them cleaned up and they're not damaged, especially right here on this solder joint, they're usually okay to reuse. So we'll get this torqued down, and then for the oil pan, black RTV all the way around, slap the pan on, torque it down. We're gonna put the oil cooler on. These are the McBee gaskets. I know we get a lot of questions still about these. These are still our preferred gasket. What you do, you get 2 bolts started, and kind of straighten this one out a little bit, like so. And then you just put it on all as one assembly. Just make sure you don't pinch the gasket. Like so. And then before you tighten any of these all the way down, put all the bolts in. Start by hand.
Who needs to start them by hand when you have an impact?
Dude, it's just like the lathe. Grind it till you find it, all right? And this one with the stud, it's really easy to remember. It's in the bottom, okay? And I've seen it be put here or here on factory trucks. Now, maybe they've been tampered with, but it doesn't seem to matter here or here. Just remember, don't put it underneath the oil filter like I generally always do, because I forget every time. And then you're gonna get them all started. Torque these bad boys down, and you're ready to go. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and prime this thing for oil pressure. You might be asking where the push rods are. Well, you don't need the push rods to stop oil flow. It actually allows it to drain. So what we do, put these on. If you don't put these on, you will have 6 oil geysers shooting out. And then over here, we have this oil pump. A lot of you guys have seen it. Meyer made it. It is a McBee oil pump. You guys notice how we're not like impacting the ever-living crap out of these, and you guys can kind of see how the pump is walking in slowly. I've seen this so many times. We'll get customers that call in, fresh oil or fresh engine. Number 1, they didn't prime the pump. Number 2, they didn't torque this down evenly. So the final torque on this is 18 foot-pounds. So what I do is I go to 9 foot-pounds on all 4 bolts, and then I hit them at 18. That makes sure that this pump sits square in the pocket of the block. Now what'll happen is, I didn't like that one, hold on. There we go. What'll happen is this pump, the only way it seals is actually on the machine pocket of the block. So if this goes in crooked, it won't seal. You'll never get oil pressure. Now from here, make sure all your oil galleys are plugged. The big one, turbo feeds. There's also this guy. This is the oil pressure sensor. You want to make sure you plug that one. And then back here, we have the cam tunnel. Now this one generally won't leak if it's taped up, and if it does, it just oozes a little bit. And then we don't put any oil in the filter. We just spin on a dry filter, fill the engine up with 3 gallons of engine oil, whatever you're gonna use to break it in. And then that ensures that no matter what is in the oil pan or anything like that, it's gonna get filtered first, and then everything is gonna get lubed through the factory system. So if there was any dirt, debris, or anything like that, this makes sure you have a higher probability of getting it pushed out, caught in the filter before this thing ever fires up. It also, if you have a truck that doesn't want to cooperate, doesn't want to start, this is 12 valve, VP, common rail, doesn't matter. If you do it this way, at least you're not cranking on a dry engine for extended periods of time. And if you have a leak, one of the freeze plugs is not in. 12 valve VP guys, if your tappet cover's leaking or you have no oil pressure and one of those freeze plugs is pushed out, this is a great time to check it without it being all the way in the engine. So that's how we do it. We're gonna go ahead and put some oil in this thing and then fire up the oil pump. Okay, so the reason why we don't have the push rods in is this engine fills a lot faster if you just dump it straight down the push rod holes. And I usually take one of the rockers off just to make my life a little easier. You don't want to get crazy with it because you have paper towels in the injector bores and stuff. But I love that sound. If you guys listen close. Fresh oil. Oh, man. And then for braking, I use this PDD stuff. I really like it. I think it's good. However, for the average buyer that doesn't work here, it is a little pricey to run this 2050 oil for a break-in. That's only going to be in there for about a half hour. What I like, Drew at D&J sends you out with the VSR1 2050 racing oil. It's like I believe it's a Valvoline product. And my logic is if it's good enough for him to break in a $36,000 deck plate, it's probably good enough for any of you guys. And that will allow you. Now, if you have a close to stock engine, probably 15W40 conventional, with any cam, whether it's Colt, Hamilton, I even think No Limits cams. I know Drew's cams need it. You're gonna need something with a lot of zinc in it. So if you're gonna run a Rotella off the shelf oil, pick up a zinc additive. I know Colt sells one. I believe Hamilton sells one. I think XDP carries their own brand as well. Or if you're gonna buy this PDD oil, you could use the 15W40 for closer to a stock build, and it has enough zinc to properly break in a cam. Again, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Everyone's got their own thing. I know the Joe Gibbs stuff in our town is available at CarQuest. So just make sure you're using a high zinc oil. Conventional will work just fine because it won't be in there long enough. And ideally, I will do one oil change with break-in oil, change it, and then I'll do one more oil change right around that 500 mark. And then usually after there, if the filter looks good, I just go to like, I don't know. I'm really bad about changing oil. 7,500 if I'm just dailying it. If I go to a competition, I'll usually do like 2 dyno competitions. For King of the Street, we went a full weekend on the same oil just to kind of put it in perspective. And I'm kind of curious. That had Hot Shot Secret Oil in it, and we're going to send it out and kind of see what Kyle over there thinks about our oil and if we can keep running that engine, I guess. So we'll get this filled up, and I'll show you guys the oil primer 9000. Guys, this gauge is broken, so don't read into that too much. Remember, you got to fill the pickup tube, the block, the oil filter. I just noticed the oil filter. You heard the drill change. The oil filter just filled up. And now we're waiting to see oil come out of the rocker arm. And you can hear it. And basically you want to see a good steady drip off all the rocker arms, which I'm seeing. Hey, Shad.
Yes, sir.
Put your hand on this oil filter housing. Keep the camera on. Just tell me on the oil filter housing. Let me know what you feel.
You can feel it pulsing.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm happy with that. I look around. I don't see any leaks. Yeah, no leaks. Back this off. because there is pressure locked in here. So you back it off a little bit, and that will allow you to take the oil pump out without making a gigantic mess. Okay, so you take your oil pump and you just start filling all the vanes or rotors with assembly lube. And it's normal for it to come back like so. And this is what a properly packed oil pump looks like. You don't gotta go too crazy. Just make sure. The whole thing is this pump's dry. So the assembly lube allows it to create enough suction to become almost vacuum-like. And that allows you to, there we go. That allows you to create that vacuum to get the oil in there. But again, you guys have seen some of our first fire videos. It takes us about 2 cranks on a common rail. If you've ever built a common rail and not primed the oil, it is not uncommon to have to crank on that thing for quite a while to get oil pressure. When you're done, this gear should have a little bit of backlash. If it doesn't, you're crooked. And now, minus the CP3 gear, we could slap our front cover on. So product highlight, this is a Beans diesel billet front cover. I've never used one. This is my first experience. I gotta say, number 1, beautiful design. Number 2, sleeve already installed. Front crank sleeve here. Already installed. Big fan. You guys know I struggle with this. This is awesome. It comes with a wear sleeve. I'm not pressing this out, so we just put a wear sleeve on a brand new crankshaft. No big deal. Comes pre-installed. The other big thing is this O-ring seal. Now, I'm not sure how long it'll last, how many times you can reuse it, but this gets rid of the nasty RTV, which I'm a huge fan of. Now, no ding on them. I'm pretty sure UPS dinged this one up pretty good, but we'll just file that down real fast. But I am really excited to put this on. Hopefully the hype is real. Where's my... So what happens when you let people like David Patrick work at UPS? Give it a nice little blow down here. And it's already got the tool. Let me make sure. Okay, so I'm gonna deduct 2 points for putting the tool in backwards, but hey, it's okay. Now, before we seal this puppy up, I'm gonna make sure that gear doesn't bind up. I always like to TDC my stuff. That way I know where to start on the cam. Valve train adjustment, excuse me. Go like this. Oh, dude. No RTV or nothing. That is a nice piece. That is something. Not knocking anyone else's cover on the market, but god dang, brother. That is a lot easier than the other style. Now, we will do a full determination on if it actually works or if it leaks or anything like that. But so far, A+. Nice stainless hardware. And I do use a little bit of red Loctite, just a dab. Dab will do you. I start with the long bolts. And the reason I start with the long bolts is I pretty much, after doing this, after you blow up so many engines, you start to get really good at which ones are long and which ones are short. But I just do the long ones first. The one that always gets me is this one up here. This corner one, because it doesn't look like there's any block back there, but there is. Okay, after some cleanup, we kind of put it all together. AC/water neck outlet, adapter plates on. Chad got the water pump knocked out. We got the fan hub assembly bolted on. One of those fancy billet fleece pulleys. Looking pretty sick. Kind of nice to tie the black and billet together. We still got to put a fluid damper on, our CP3 pump, and a couple other odds and ends like injectors, connecting tubes. But all in all, not a bad night's work. We're going to go ahead, get this thing pushed off to the side, and pick it up tomorrow. Okay, we are back for another exciting installment of putting this together. Tonight, CP3 gear, flex plate, push rods, valve lash, injectors, connecting tubes, and the remaining part of our freeze plugs. We did get the correct rear freeze plug now, so we are good to go there. Little mislabel. And then we'll go ahead, get our manifold thrown on here, kind of show you guys the turbo, and basically get this thing fully buttoned up, ready for the inevitable Instagram post, of course, and stabbing the engine this weekend.
Everything is not enough. Feeling out by the ocean, along those white hot sands, where every sunrise is just for you. So come along and take my hand.
see here, this is a flex plate. We're reusing this one. You guys can see we kind of just wiped the RTV off with a whiz wheel real quick. And essentially, a little bit still stuck in the corner here. Okay, so we'll get that all cleaned out. Now, you kind of scuff up the crank, snuff up the flex plate, scrub up the flex plate, and then this is my patented flex plate no come offy mod here. Just a nice little dollop daisy right there. Set that down, and then you take your bolts and you put Loctite underneath the head of them, and then you also put it all over the threads. So if you guys haven't guessed it by now, it is just about a tube of Loctite. I can tell you that when the flex plate starts to make noise and it destroys your crankshaft, or you lose a race or a sled pull or whatever, it really sucks. And then here, just I voted for Bernie liberal amount of Loctite. Set this on here like so. Get your bolt here that's just, again, dripping. And I always put the one bolt on kind of tight like that. And you just get to work on the other 8. Milwaukee, 1/2-inch gun. Full charge. Setting 1. Chrome socket. Cross pattern. You know you got the right amount when it starts dripping out. Milwaukee, setting 2. Same pattern. Setting 3. Done. Flex plate won't ever come off. Actually, it will come off when you want it to, but that's how we do it around here. Do with that information as you wish, but it's what we found worked for us. I think Derek Rose sells a kit with like RTV, and he's trying to probably dampen some of the vibration, which might work good for him. This is what works good for us. Impact, send it home. So we got our clear coat, CP3, injectors, push rods, valve lash, rocker box, connecting tubes, map sensor, fluid damper, side freeze plugs. Only thing left that we do on the stand is we're gonna put the common rail on, which is located right here. So a while ago I talked to you guys about these valve cover gaskets. So here's a prime example. I cleaned this one off. You guys can see here we have exposed wire, some more exposed wire, and these could potentially almost touch each other. So this is a prime example. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one on just to keep dirt and stuff out, but this is something that can cause problems, especially the more it cracks. Like you guys see, it's cracked there, it's cracked there, and what'll happen is eventually they'll touch and start shorting out an injector, and then you're gonna have all kinds of problems. So the only other thing we got done, rail and fleece. Don't mind this. This line is just to keep dirt out. It will go up to here, and like this is still loose. We need the injection line here, and then this is on the truck. Again, this is just a placeholder, as well as this, just to keep dirt out for the time being. And there she is. Valve cover needs a polish. I'll give you that. But she's all wrapped up. Literally, ECM, harness, serpentine belt, AC compressor obviously stays in the truck. Turbo oil feed, oil drain lines are in the truck. Manifold is currently on the 07 right now, so we'll just leave that for there. And then just a couple fuel lines, and that's it. Dipstick, obviously, and we are ready to go, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know when we did the first engine build of this caliber, like 1500 horsepower, the channel was a lot smaller. So if you guys feel like you missed anything or want to go over measurements, stuff like that, I did do that in a previous, I think it's like a 5 or 6 part series. Scroll all the way back to like April-ish time frame of 2021. And you guys can see that we kind of hit on some hot topics. We got it all put together. All in all, looking at the clock, we did have Shad's help, but we have roughly, I don't know, about 15 hours from start to finish on this. It can be done even faster. We had to spend some time looking for bolts, and I do like a good quality paint job. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the teal. I'm a big fan. Originally, we were going to accent it with something else. Didn't work out. Billet, black, teal, really looks good. I mean, hot dang, guys. That's the sauce right there. Just gorgeous looking. And again, this is a D&J billet valve cover, which normally they look a lot better. We have XDP billet freeze plugs. We have a Beans Diesel front cover. This is a Fleece Performance Engineering idler pulley. We have a Fleece fuel distribution block. A lot of you guys ask where this rail comes from. This is a PPE factory replacement rail. And this back freeze plug right here is from Power Driven Diesel. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, drop a comment down below. Subscribe if you are not already, guys. We're going to get this stuffed in the truck, fired up, and start ripping. There's a few videos I want to touch on, like how to drive a full manual valve body, a few others that we're going to hit on. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I will catch you on the next one.